with 64 points per game. Right now we're at 85, and so seeing a lot of really good things offensively. I think we've got really good balance, and I like the pace that we're playing at. Defensively this week, areas of focus, again, just taking care of that ball security, and that's just going to come back to haunt us, and we've got to do a better job with that. The problem is you can't put them all in the same bucket because they're coming in a variety of ways, and so we've got to shore up, whether it's our passing or sloppy footwork, decision making. We just got to really hone in on that. And then our transition defense is, we've got a lot of work to do over the next couple days to make some tweaks on that and be more efficient, as well as our half-court defense. So definitely proud of a lot of things with our team, but certainly aware of the things that we need to work on. I think that's the hardest thing about this time of the year is that you're exposed, but then you don't have the practice time to work on it. And so it's going to be really nice to have 3 days before our next game and actually get on the court with the players.
Robin, after St. Louis, you said that you were really challenged your players to get more of that connectivity on defense. Did you think that last Tuesday's game was a step in the right direction with that?
I don't think it was great, to be honest with you. And I think part of that is, again, just the opportunity to get those reps in practice, a point of emphasis and getting connected on what that needs to look like. So it's one thing, you break down film and you watch it, but you only have one day as you prep for your next opponent. And so it just makes it a little bit challenging. But I can assure you that this week that'll be a huge point of emphasis over the next couple days.
Coach, I know you talked about playing with pace of play. Mama does a really good job of that. Abby playing that backup point guard, she's trying to break into that role more. How can you help get Abby up and down in transition more?
Yeah, I just think it's having that game experience. I think that's huge for her. I think she, brings a completely different look than Mama Dembele, and that's okay. But just constantly working on those handles with her. She loves to study the game. She's got a high IQ, and so just watching film with her and helping her understand situations and angles and opportunities that she has. And so, she's a freshman, kind of got thrown to the fire a little bit, but I am extremely confident in what Abby brings to the table for us.
Haley really had her first big game on Tuesday. Just how big is it for you guys to get her going as you guys head through the non-con?
Yeah, I think, you want to be a well-oiled machine by the time you get to conference play. And, I think everybody gets a little antsy in the non-con because you want it to be, right out of the gates. But the reality is most teams aren't the same in November as they are January or February. And so I think for so many of our other players to be able to step up and be a threat offensively, that's going to take a huge load off of Haley Frank. I think teams that have defended us in the past have really made it hard for her to score, and so the more consistent everybody else can be, the more it's going to loosen that up. But I don't feel like it was a matter of Frankie not being able to get going. She had some injuries, and then she had upper respiratory, and so, she just lost a couple practices there, and just kind of getting back to feeling good, I think was more of it than her ability to perform at that level. And so, we don't talk a lot about those other things, but Haley's going to be just fine. And, she's a huge part of what we do, and a veteran player, fifth-year player, just her leadership, her voice, how she shows up every day is huge for us.
What have you thought about the way that Ashton has performed so far this season?
That's a young lady that's put in so much work. And I think sometimes when you're in that position, you work so hard for something that you just find yourself putting extra pressure on yourself because the work that you've put in, instead of, trusting that your work is going to show up and be just exactly where it needs to be. And I think she's had some really good games for us. I think she's a young lady that can hit tough shots. She can score on 3 levels. She can defend. I mean, she can do a little bit of everything. I think she's going to have a fantastic year for us. And I think right now with our team, with so many different rotations and so many different players, we are still in that phase of getting comfortable with each other and, our decision making and our spacing, and defensively, like I said, there's a huge jump that we have to make. But I think she's a young lady that's put in the work, and I expect her to have a really good year for us.
Are you seeing that leadership develop also also as well, not just the performance, but also from a leadership perspective?
For her or for in general?
For her.
Yeah, and I think it really means a lot to her. She's such a fierce competitor that she gets so tunnel vision sometimes, but she is well aware of the impact that she can have on her teammates and how important that is. And I love how much our team has invested, not only physically, but also in the mental approach to, our game and the season. And I think that's going to pay huge dividends as we go through, the journey of the season.
Coach, I know you talked before the year about the idea of rotating starting fives. So far in the 4 games, you've played with the same 5 out there. Do you think you're going to want to switch that up through the non-con, or are you sticking with this group of 5?
Yeah, I think with Avery being out, it kind of put a wrench in our plans a little bit of what that potentially could look like. And I know everybody wants to talk about a starting lineup, but we don't put a huge premium on it. I do think, as a coach, I'm still figuring out rotations and, where we can get minutes for certain players and the balance of, the vets needing to get repetition and get into a good flow, but also our young players just getting that game-like experience and playing with different players and rotations. And so it's not a perfect science at this point in the season. But I think every game we get under our belt and there's a bigger body of work, that can narrow by the time you get to conference play.
You've talked about getting those young player experience. Grace Slaughter getting a lot of great experience. I mean, she's played the most minutes of everyone. How have you been able to trust her so much and throw her out there a lot?
She just she works really hard at her craft. She's in the gym all the time as well, outside of what's required. She just never looks like she gets too tired. She just plays with great pace, and she's such a competitor. I think we're probably playing her too many minutes, and that's something that we've got to continue to be mindful of because it is a long season. But at the same time, I think she's come out of the gates really strong for us.
What stands out to you about Southern Indiana on tape?
Haven't dove much into them yet. For me, our focus this next day or two is going to be strictly on us and the areas that we have to get better. And we've got a lot of things. We haven't had this window of practices for a little bit, like I had mentioned. So to me, the focus right now is on us, and then we'll continue to dive into them in our scout.
I know we look a lot at the 5 role between Angelique, Abby, Haley playing some of that, and Hannah. How have you seen the sort of paint area and the lady in the middle, and what have you looking to improve on moving forward?
Yeah, I think we've got a lot of different looks. You can go with a lineup that can really stretch the court, or you've got that ability to play inside out. Again, I think that's for Angie. She's nowhere where she's close to where she's going to be. As we continue to get more games under her belt and get her more comfortable. I think the way teams have been defending Mama, we've got to be strategic on how we create opportunities inside out with them sagging so much in that paint. And so that's stuff that we're studying on film on how we can expose teams that want to play us that way. But I think I love the ability to have different looks. I think you got Angie that's got power and explosiveness. You got Hannah that plays with so much energy, and I think her ranginess and her mobility is huge. Somebody that hasn't had a lot of minutes yet, Sarah Lithicum, she had some really good games for us last year, and so to find opportunities for her, I think is going to be important. And so again, nowhere close to being set on any kind of rotation. Just trying to put a lot of feelers out there and get a body of work before we go into conference play.
So you've had Mama playing for you guys for a couple of years now, but now you have an addition of 2 more European players. How do you foresee that affecting your gameplay? Or how have you seen it affected already, and how do you see it affecting it going forward?
Yeah, I think it's just it's a different style with international players, and it really aligns with how we like to play in regards to our motion offense and the cutting and screening, and just the movement away from the ball. And so, we don't target, first of all, we want to recruit really hard in state. That's a priority for us. But after that, we want to get the best players that fit our system the best. And, we're really fortunate to add 2 international student athletes that I think have incredibly high ceilings, They're passionate about the game. They work hard. Unfortunately, with Hilke, she had an injury coming in, and so that kind of put her behind a little bit. And I think for her and Lucija both not to be here in June and July kind of put them back a little bit. But I think as we continue to work with them inside of our practices and outside with skill instruction, it's going to really help them.
We'll take 1 or 2 more if you guys have.
You mentioned Hilke. You've been getting her some game action. She's played in every game. What have you seen from her out on the game floor so far?
Yeah, I think she's still trying to find that comfort zone. She doesn't look completely comfortable yet, but I think she's moving in that direction. Again, long and rangy. I think she's got her game, to me, has a similar feel to a Grace Slaughter, where she's got the ability to attack off the bounce, but she's also got the ability to shoot the 3. And again, I know what the body of work in games is different than what we see every day in practice so far. But I think their styles resemble each other very, very closely. So I love the fact that she can stretch the court, but she's also got the ability to play off the bounce. We do need her to get a little bit more physical. I think that's a big part for her too, is just getting used to the physicality of the game, whether it's defensively, rebounding, offensively, trying to really get a body on her drives. We got to get to the free throw line more than what we have, but she's got a super high ceiling.
Anyone else? All right.
Thank you guys for coming
Thanks,
out.
Robin.
Appreciate it.
Thanks so much.
Y'all rock. Anybody know the weather for tomorrow's football game?
Supposed to be, I think it's a little chilly, but mostly sunny. Or, well, not sunny because it'll be dark, but
Yeah.
probably sweatshirt and pants weather.